I gave up my dreams, worked 14-hour shifts, and sacrificed everything for my family. But they repaid me with betrayal, a $50,000 loan in my name, wasted on parties, while our daughter was used like an ATM. They had no idea what I had done. The next morning, their world shattered. I never planned for my life to turn out this way. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would spend most of my 20s buried under someone else's problems, I might have laughed in your face. But that's what happens when you grow up in a family that sees you as a provider rather than a daughter. I was just 18 when I started working at Westside Auto Repairs in Houston, Texas. It wasn't glamorous, but I was good at it, damn good. While other girls my age were heading off to college or figuring out their futures, I was underneath cars, covered in grease, fixing engines like a pro. My boss, Rick, saw my potential early on and took me under his wing. He always said, "Mia, you've got the hands of a surgeon and the brain of an engineer. Don't waste it." But I did waste it on my family. See, my parents, Jack and Linda, had never been great with money. My dad was a retired truck driver, but that didn't mean he had retired from making bad decisions. His gambling problem had been a shadow over our lives for as long as I could remember. Some weeks, he'd win big, and we'd eat steak for dinner. Other weeks, he'd lose it all, and we'd be scraping by with instant noodles. My mom, Linda, wasn't much better. She ran a small thrift store, but it never really made enough to support us. She was always struggling to pay rent, always behind on bills, always coming to me with those guilt-ridden eyes, asking for just a little help to get through the month. And I always gave in. Then there was Sophia, my younger sister. Sophia was the star, the princess, the golden child. She wanted to be a fashion influencer, and in our house, that dream was treated like it was more important than reality. While I was busting my ass at the repair shop, Sophia was posting pictures in designer clothes, sipping overpriced coffee, and pretending she had a luxurious lifestyle. A lifestyle, mind you, that I was unknowingly funding. At first, it wasn't so bad. I wanted to help. Family helps each other, right? That's what I told myself every time my mom asked for money to keep the store afloat, or when my dad promised that just a little loan would help him turn things around. It's what I believed when Sophia asked me for a new phone because a real influencer can't have a cracked screen, Mia. I thought I was doing the right thing. But the thing about always giving is that people stop seeing it as kindness. They start expecting it. And before I knew it, my paycheck wasn't mine anymore. Every time I tried to save up for myself, something would happen. The store was struggling again. My dad owed money to some guys he couldn't afford to piss off, or Sophia needed a new bag, a new camera, a trip to some influencer event where she could network. It became a cycle. I worked harder, they took more. I kept telling myself that one day it would get better. That if I could just help them one more time, things would stabilize. My dad would finally stop gambling, my mom would get the store running properly, and Sophia, well, maybe she'd actually make something of herself and start earning real money instead of just pretending to. But it never got better. The breaking point came in the form of a phone call from the bank. I remember that moment so clearly. It was a Wednesday, and I had just finished a full day at the shop. I was tired, sweaty, and looking forward to a quiet evening in my tiny bedroom at home. Then my phone rang. "Miss Carter, we're calling about the personal loan under your name." I frowned. "What loan?" The voice on the other end hesitated. "The $50,000 loan that was taken out last year. The bank requires immediate payments, or legal action may be pursued." The world tilted. "There's a mistake," I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. "I never took out a loan." But there was no mistake. My parents had taken out a $50,000 loan in my name, forging my signature. And they hadn't even bothered to tell me. I stormed home, shaking with anger. The second I walked through the door, I saw them sitting in the living room, Dad watching some old boxing match on TV, Mom sorting through a pile of thrift store clothes. Like everything was normal. "Did you take out a loan in my name?" My voice was sharper than I'd ever heard it. They didn't even try to deny it. "We needed the money," Mom said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "You stole from me," I shot back. $50,000, Mom. That's not just a little favor. That's a crime." Dad waved a hand dismissively. "Relax, Mia. We were going to pay it back. With what? My voice cracked. Your winnings at the casino? Silence. That's when I knew. They had no plan. No intention of ever paying it back. And the worst part? They didn't even feel bad about it. You work so much anyway, Mom said. You'll pay it off in no time. Like it was nothing. Like I owed it to them. I felt something inside me snap that day. Years of sacrifice, of being the responsible one, of carrying this family on my back, it all came crashing down. I looked at them, really looked at them, and I saw the truth. They didn't see me as their daughter. They saw me as their personal bank account. And I was done. I don't remember how long I stood there, staring at them. My parents. The people who were supposed to protect me, support me. Instead, they had robbed me blind, without a second thought. The anger inside me burned so hot I could barely breathe. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. But what would that change? They wouldn't suddenly feel guilty. They wouldn't magically become better people. No, they would just find a way to manipulate me into fixing their mess. That night, I packed a bag. I didn't say a word. I didn't argue or let them try to twist things around. I just walked out. And for the first time in my life, I didn't look back. I moved into a tiny apartment on the other side of Houston. It wasn't much, just a one-bedroom with thin walls and a kitchen the size of a closet. But it was mine. No one could take it from me. No one could guilt me into paying their bills instead of my own. Of course, they tried. The first few weeks were filled with phone calls, voicemails, guilt trips disguised as concern. Mia, we're struggling without you. Mia, how can you just abandon your family? Mia, you know your father's health isn't great. The stress is getting to him. I ignored them all. For once, I put myself first. I started saving again for me this time. Every dollar that used to disappear into my family's never-ending black hole of problems went straight into my bank account. My boss, Rick, noticed the change in me. You finally thinking about opening your own shop? He asked one day. I had always talked about it. My dream. A place where I could build custom cars, work on high-end restorations, be my own boss. But every time I got close, something pulled me back. Some new crisis, some new excuse to put my own future on hold. Not anymore. Yeah, I told him. I think I am. Things were finally starting to turn around. And then Sophia happened. It had been months since I had any real contact with my family, but I still kept up with things through social media.
It was impossible not to.
Sophia made sure everyone knew how amazing her life was. She wasn't just an influencer, she was a brand. At least, that's what she wanted people to believe. She posted pictures in designer outfits, luxury vacations, expensive brunches with Houston's elite. But I knew the truth. Every handbag, every five-star dinner, every first-class plane ticket, she wasn't paying for any of it. Some of it came from brand sponsorships, sure. But most of it? It was just another scam. She'd borrow money from family members, never paying them back. She'd sweet-talk her way into exclusive events, pretending she was more important than she was. She even rented luxury cars and took pictures in front of mansions that didn't belong to her. She lied for a living. And people ate it up. Then one day, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Sophia had posted a picture of our parents, smiling in their thrift store. The caption? So grateful for my amazing sister Mia, who always makes sure Mom and Dad are taken care of. Family first, always. And the comments flooded in. You're so lucky to have such a supportive sister. Mia sounds like the best sibling ever. Family is everything. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Family? Family? The same people who stole from me? The same sister who never worked a real job in her life? Now she was using my name to boost her image?
No.
I wasn't going to let this slide. I made a mistake that night. I called her. She picked up on the first ring, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Mia, it's been forever. How's my favorite big sister? Cut the crap, Sophia, I snapped. Why are you posting about me like I'm still paying for everything? A pause. Then a laugh. Oh, that? It's just social media, Mia. People love a good family story. Yeah? And what happens when they find out it's a lie? She sighed like I was being unreasonable. Mia, relax. It's not like it hurts you. If anything, it makes you look good. People love the hardworking, supportive older sister. It's good PR. I don't need PR, Sophia. I need you to stop using my name to make yourself look better. Silence. Then, in the same sugary tone, she said, I'd be careful if I were you. People like me, Mia. A lot of people. You're just some mechanic. No one cares what you have to say. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palm. Stay out of my life, Sophia. I hung up. I should have known that was only the beginning. A few months later, I saw it. Sophia was throwing a massive celebration party for hitting 500,000 followers. It was all over social media, local influencers, celebrities, investors. The kind of event that would take her career to the next level. But I wasn't invited. That part didn't surprise me. What did? She had erased me. Family photos on the wall. I wasn't in them. Old pictures from our childhood, cropped to make it look like I never existed. Even the few posts where she used to mention me, deleted. Like I was never part of her life. Like I didn't spend years sacrificing everything to support her. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. I wasn't just angry. I was done. She wanted to erase me? Fine. But I had one final lesson to teach her. And this time, I wasn't going to play nice. The night of Sophia's big party, I sat in my apartment, scrolling through her endless posts. Everything about her was a performance. The glowing lights, the perfectly curated guest list, the designer dress she probably couldn't afford. It was all for show. And the worst part? People bought into it. They believed she was someone important, someone worth admiring. I wasn't angry that she didn't invite me. I wasn't even surprised that she had erased me. What burned was the lie. For years, I had been the one holding our family together, paying the bills, covering the debts, making sure my parents didn't end up on the streets. And yet, here she was, standing in front of hundreds of guests, acting like she built everything on her own. I had enough. I wasn't going to sit quietly while she thrived off my sacrifices. She wanted to be famous? Fine. I was about to give her exactly what she deserved. I spent the next 2 hours gathering everything I needed. Screenshots of unpaid invoices from brands she worked with, emails from people she had scammed into lending her money, receipts proving she rented luxury items just to take pictures with them. All of it. Then I found the biggest piece of evidence. An email from a major brand, one that Sophia had claimed to be partnered with, threatening legal action for falsifying a sponsorship deal. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just some petty influencer drama. She had built her empire on fraud. And I had the proof to bring it all down. I didn't hesitate. I sent everything to several fashion industry blogs, along with a simple message. You might want to double-check who you're doing business with. Then I waited. I didn't have to wait long. An hour later, my phone buzzed. Then again. And again. I opened Twitter. Sophia's name was everywhere. People were furious. Brands started pulling their partnerships, followers turned on her, and within minutes, her carefully curated image began to crumble. And then the call came. I almost didn't pick up, but something inside me wanted to hear it. Mia. Sophia's voice was high-pitched, panicked. What the hell did you do? I leaned back in my chair, calm as ever. What do you mean? Don't play dumb, she snapped. You ruined me. I smirked. No, Sophia. You ruined yourself. I just made sure people saw the truth. There was a long silence. Then her voice dropped, filled with something I wasn't used to hearing from her, fear. Mia, you don't get it. This isn't just online hate. My sponsors are pulling out. My management won't answer my calls. This could destroy everything. Good. Good, she screeched. I'm your sister. I laughed, the sound bitter. You erased me, remember? According to you, I don't exist. That was different, she argued. I was just trying to make my brand look better. And I was just making sure the world knew exactly who you are. She cursed under her breath. Then, after a long pause, she tried again, her voice sickly sweet, the way it always was when she wanted something. Mia, please. We can fix this. Just tell everyone it was a mistake. Say you got confused or…
No.
Her breath hitched.
What?
No, Sophia. I'm not cleaning up your mess. Not this time. She started to say something else, but I hung up. For the first time in years, I felt weightless. I wasn't carrying them anymore. I was free. But it wasn't over yet. Because after Sophia, my parents came crawling back. It started with my mom. She showed up at my shop the next morning, acting like nothing had happened. I was under the hood of a 1969 Mustang, completely focused, when I heard the familiar sound of her voice. Mia, sweetheart. It's been so long. I wiped my hands on a rag and turned around slowly. There she was, standing in my garage, dressed in her usual second-hand clothes, but with the same calculating look in her eyes. What do you want, Mom? I asked flatly. She gasped, clutching her chest like I had just slapped her. Is that any way to greet your mother? I didn't answer. She sighed dramatically. Look, I know things have been tense between us, but this whole thing with Sophia, it's bad, Mia. Really bad. The poor girl is a mess. Not my problem. I turned back to the Mustang.
Mia.
Her voice was sharper now. Don't be cruel. She's your sister. Oh, now we're sisters? Funny, because last time I checked, I wasn't even invited to her party. You know how she is, Mom said dismissively. She gets carried away. But she needs your help now. We all do. And there it was. The real reason she was here. Let me guess, I said, crossing my arms. She lost her sponsorships. No more easy money. And now, she needs someone to clean up her mess. Again. My mom hesitated. That was all the answer I needed. Let me make something very clear, I said, my voice firm. I don't owe you anything. Not you, not Dad, and definitely not Sophia. You stole from me, used me, treated me like I was nothing more than a bank account. And now that everything's falling apart, you suddenly remember I exist? Mia, please. Get out. Her eyes widened. You don't mean that. I do. For the first time, my mother looked truly afraid, because she realized in that moment that she had pushed me too far. She opened her mouth to say something else, but I didn't give her the chance. I turned back to the car and got back to work. After a long moment, she finally got the message. She left. That night, my father tried calling. I let it go to voicemail. By the next morning, I blocked both of them. For the first time in my life, I chose myself. And I had never felt stronger. After I blocked their numbers, I waited for the guilt to creep in. For that familiar ache in my chest, the one that had always made me second-guess myself whenever I tried to set boundaries. But this time, it didn't come. Instead, I felt something new, peace. For the first time in my life, I wasn't waking up dreading another phone call, another demand, another emergency that wasn't mine to fix. The silence was strange at first, but I got used to it quickly. I threw myself into work, focusing on my own future instead of theirs. A few weeks passed, and Sophia's downfall was still making headlines in influencer circles. More brands came forward, exposing her fake partnerships and unpaid debts. Her accounts lost thousands of followers overnight, and her management team cut ties with her completely. She tried to do damage control, of course, posted a long, teary-eyed apology video about being young and making mistakes. But the internet isn't so forgiving when they realize they've been lied to. People saw through her act. No one bought it. And then one evening, she showed up at my shop. I heard the familiar sound of heels clicking against concrete before I even looked up. There she was, standing just outside the garage, looking nothing like the Sophia from Instagram. Gone was the designer clothing, the perfect hair, the expensive accessories. Instead, she looked tired. Like she hadn't slept in days. I wiped my hands on a rag and leaned against the car I had been working on. What do you want? I asked, my voice calm, controlled. She hesitated. Can we talk? I didn't answer, just gestured toward the bench outside the shop. She walked over, sitting down like she had the weight of the world on her shoulders. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Finally, She let out a breath and said, I lost everything, Mia.
I didn't react.
I just waited. My accounts are dead. My sponsors won't even return my emails. No one wants to work with me anymore. And Mom and Dad. She let out a bitter laugh. They're acting like this is all my fault. I raised an eyebrow. Isn't it? She flinched but nodded. Yeah, I guess it is. Another long pause. I thought they'd have my back, she admitted quietly. I thought if things got bad, they'd help me. But the second the money dried up, they turned on me. I wasn't surprised. That's who they were. They'd use you until there was nothing left, then move on. The only reason they had stuck with Sophia for so long was because she was profitable, or, at least, she used to be. She stared down at the ground, picking at the hem of her shirt. I don't know what to do, Mia. For the first time in years, she sounded like my little sister again. Not the influencer. Not the socialite. Just Sophia. And maybe once upon a time, that would have been enough. Maybe I would have given her another chance, helped her rebuild. But I knew better now. That's not my problem, I said simply. She looked up, startled. What? You heard me. I crossed my arms. You want someone to clean up your mess? Go to Mom and Dad. Oh wait, they need someone to take care of them now, don't they? Her face crumpled. Mia, please.
No.
I cut her off. You made your choices. You burned every bridge. And now you want me to fix it? After everything? Tears welled up in her eyes. I was stupid, okay? I thought I was better than you, better than everyone. I got caught up in it all. But I see it now. I get it. I let out a slow breath. Sophia, I don't hate you. But I can't help you. She wiped at her eyes, nodding slowly. I understand, she whispered. And, for the first time in her life, I think she actually did. She stood up, hesitating for just a second, like she wanted to say more. But in the end, she just turned and walked away. I didn't stop her. She never called again after that. Neither did my parents. In the months that followed, I poured everything into my shop. Business was booming. People trusted me, respected me. I was no longer Mia the provider, Mia the ATM, Mia the forgotten sister. I was just Mia.
And that was enough.